I'm going to do a tempura vegetables tonight. Pretty simple stuff. We're also going to do some prawns, so you can see a whole lot of things here. This really is about preparation. So you need cold water. It has to be cold water. Tempura batter mix. You could do your own flour or corn flour, and maybe with a soda water. But again, it's got to be cold if you want that crispiness and lightness that comes from tempura. Lots of vegetables. Now, I've actually pre-cooked that sweet potato. Okay, it's going to be a bit easier to get through. Obviously, onions, got some capsicums, zucchini, and you want to cut it fairly thin because it needs to cook pretty quickly, and you don't want it too hard. So, and some broccolini, some chili, going to play with a bit of that. Speaking of chili, I'm just going to douse a little bit of those prawns with some chili just to get it going. And some tofu. Now, I am going to get you to come across here shortly, but then I'll do the dip. With the oil, so I use a canola oil. It's probably better like a canola or vegetable oil. And the key to this is you want to have the tempura between 150 and 180 degrees. You go, well, how do I work that out? A little thermometer. Now, if you've got one of these things, they're going to be your friend. So you can see there, I've had this just going. You want it between 150 and 180. So it's climbing up there. 160, 165, 170. So it's fine. I'm going to leave it. I'm not going to turn on. But what tends to happen is the more you put in there, it's going to take the heat from the oil. So you've got to make sure you don't put too much in and keep that heat between 150 and 180 because it'll help it go golden brown. Now, just again, preparation, have this all ready on the side because you're going to get a fair bit of oil there. I'll get another one of those and put that down. But essentially what you want to do is make sure the oil's ready to go. You've got the cold water. Now, with this mix here, it's about, that's about 500 grams. As per the thing on the site, it says mix about 125 into 180 mil. So I've got about 300. I'll do about double that. So it's about half of the tempura mix in there. A bit more, and it looks like corn flour, right? It's got all the kind of ingredients in there that make it light and fluffy and a lot easier to do. One of the key things with this as well, if you're using a corn flour or if you're using a plain flour, again, it's going to be cold water. Make sure you don't overmix it. Lumps are going to be your friend. If you overmix it, particularly with normal flour, you're going to get a lot of gluten in there, and that is not going to be your friend. So, putting that cold water in there, that's been in the fridge for a while. As I said, it makes it a bit crunchier when you get it cooking, and just fold it through, not overdoing it. Folding it through, making sure that you're getting the right consistency to start dipping our veggies in. And as I said, some of those veggies have been pre-cooked. Now we're probably going to need 2 batches of batter because I've got a fair bit, but I just thought I'd show you here just one batch to start off, and we'll get that going. Okay, and we might do a combination of things too. Okay, so that's it. Don't overdo it. Now, onion rings. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to load them up here. I've used the chili. I'm going to load them up here, get them prepped on there, and then we can whip them in kind of sequentially. And just kind of quickly as well, you know, trying to put some stuff in there. We're going to need a couple of things to move quicker. Just a little kind of combination of things. Getting your tongs, making sure Maggie's positioned well. She looks comfortable. Just sort of dosing that on, getting enough of that batter through there. And now they should only take a minute or so, maybe a couple of minutes. Let's test it. As I said, once you've got that 150 degrees, it should be fairly quick. So we're just going to pretty quickly put it on. I know it looks rough and ready at the moment, but that's kind of, it's going to make it a bit easier to get it done fairly quickly. Trying to get as much as that kind of batter on as you can. Get a couple of those going, and I'm going to show you what it looks like once we get it in that batter. Sorry, when we get it in that canola oil, that's 150 to 180 degrees. Okay, get those out. You could do chicken, you could do a whole lot of things in here, little slices of other meats, beef, pork, whatever. Or you can do the full veggie tempura with prawns like we're going to do. And we're going to serve this with a bit of rice as well. Okay, so you can see I've got lots of that tempura batter mix in there. Load it up, fairly even. Make sure you get a good spread of it. Now, just quickly bringing all that over. If I can get you to pop around that side, we're just going to check that temperature again. Now this spits, okay, so be very careful, Maggie. That means you too. So, thermometer, just checking it out. Don't want too hot, and of course you don't want it underdone. As I said, the more you put in there at a time, the more you're going to take the temperature out of it. So I'm just going to turn that on fairly lightly and just very carefully, because it does spit, try and keep the bits together. Have a look at that. You can just see that's starting to boil up. A couple of those examples in there. I've got lots of oil in there. You don't probably need to use as much as that, but I just want to kind of get it going fairly quick. A couple of different things in there. And you can hear that little onion rings, beautiful. A couple of those, you can hear that bubbling away. Now what you want it to actually be fairly golden brown, so just moving around. Keep checking the temperature on it, over the 150. I'll turn it right up because it's just kind of sitting at 150 and a bit at the moment. You can see that's coming through nicely. They do take a while. Don't overload them, so let's just keep them going and keep rotating it through, and we'll show you that when it's done. Okay, you can see that's bubbling away, and I've also kept checking the temperature, because what tends to happen is it takes the temperature down a little bit. The more you get in there, watch that spitting too. So between 150 and 180 we want it. Yeah, so let's drag the temperature down a little bit. So let's put a little less in next time. And you can see that's really starting to cook a lot of that. We'll put that in, we'll let it go. That's probably enough at this stage for not getting too loaded up. And just let that coat, stay in that coating there. So we might let that go, and we'll come back when we've got a few more of those moving through and rotating through.